Cybernation Uncensored.
All right, everyone, believe we're live. Sound off if you can hear us, please and thank you. Welcome to Talk Nerdy to Me.
Yep. Yes. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. It's been a hot minute since we've seen you all last, but we're happy to see you all the same. It's at the top of a new month. And last month ended with a whole lot of stuff happening all over, which has some of us are very excited, some of us very concerned, but we're going to be getting into all that very soon. I, as always, am your perpetually disheveled host, Alex Maxwell. I am the promotion manager here at Cybernation Uncensored, but I'm just the talking head in the middle. I am joined by my two glorious hosts. Let's go. Well, for me, it's the left to right. So, Gomi.
All right. I'm Gomi. I suppose a random guy who's just wandering off the street. And yeah, not much else to say. I'm a tech head and love the stuff. So, yeah. Over to you, Rem.
I'm Rem. I have a new title, kind of old title and new title. I own my own nerdy media production company, Rem Alternus Productions. We focus on Kickstarters, marketing, game publishing, the audiobook production, and live streaming. I'm like, what do I do? And then the other thing I do now is I am the new community and marketing director for Catalyst Game Labs. So that's been super exciting the past month or so.
Wow. Yeah, but all people are going places. And yeah.
Nope, that's not working. Okay. Sorry, I thought my camera had gone weird.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us. So yeah, I think we're gonna start with the very, very similar method that we did last week. Let's get the proper overlay going on here. Right, I've used this before, I swear. There we go. All right.
Yeah, so we're all seasoned professionals.
No, all seasoned professionals. No, I'm just it has been weird month for work and life, but that's just the way it goes. We dust off and keep on going. Starting with tech. It's because it was right at the very tail end. There's a lot of whole new stuff that seemed like Skynet to me, but that's what I'll leave it for you to explain and me to worry about.
Look, in this past month, everything's changed again. It was ChatGPT 3.5. ChatGPT 4 is being released now, and things are evolving so quickly, and there's so much going on in that space, and the likelihood is it's going to transform everything for good and for ill, really. So, you know, as I said, yeah, everything. Like, I know that Stable Diffusion is going from version 4 to version 5, so things are upgrading, they're adding more stuff to it, it's becoming bigger. People are now talking that it's displaying levels of intelligence. So ChatGPT 4 is using tools. It actually contacted somebody on the internet to hire them to get past a captcha. So
I don't like that. That's weird.
When you talk Skynet possibilities, yeah, look, my brain's definitely going there, but it won't be. I suppose the one critical thing that these sort of systems lack is intent. They can execute a task because you've told them to do the task. They have no motivation of themselves. So, where is it? Yeah, that's more on the getting scary side of things, and I'll jump down to that in a second. But there's a regular newsletter going out. There's one website called Future Tools, which showcases everything inside that space and how things are changing and evolving, and that guy is spending his full time doing just that. So I'll make sure I'll put a link into the chat once I finish gas bagging here. Companies like Paizo are taking a very clear stance against AI-generated content in terms of images to throw into their stuff, which I think is a really good, clear thing, and backs up the artist community because we really need that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You can also check out whether or not your artwork or stuff has been trained in these AI models. So there's a website called Have I Been Trained with a question mark, and I'll again make sure I post that into the chat in a little bit. So all of these things are emerging in that space. The US office, I think it is, for copyright. I don't know what it's exactly called because I don't worry about being here in Australia. I just know it has impacts in Australia. Basically, copyright will not cover AI-generated art because it's not considered human-made. Copyright images are used to generate the stuff, and you weren't the mastermind behind the whole thing. You just threw in the prompt, whereas an artist who crafts the image themselves is building layer upon layer of meaning into that, whether it be writing, whether it be illustration. It doesn't matter the kind of content you create, it becomes that level of importance. The scary thing from my mind is that they're now looking at training the likes of ChatGPT on financial data. So Bloomberg's GDP, which I assume is after the financial guy Bloomberg, and basically they're going to grab decades of that sort of stuff to pick where things are going. And so you're going to start, I would suppose that you'd start to see a divide between those who have these sorts of systems to play the stock market and those that don't, and then the rest of us down here somewhere out of sight. So
yes,
that's just,
go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I'll just say that's sort of a rough outline of where things are at. I found a couple of really good videos that summarise what's evolved in the last month, and I'll, again, throw a couple of links in the chat when I get a chance.
Excellent, yeah.
But you had a question?
No, it's like in how Chat GPT, especially this latest iteration, is expanding beyond just like written prompts. So I know that there was some equal shares lament and equal shares joy of friends of mine who are programmers, who are just like, oh yeah, I can throw $20 a month at Chat GPT and have it do like a day's work for me in an hour. It has me sitting there going like, hey, you're teaching it. Don't teach it how to program. No.
Well, the thing is, it's already being trained because like a guy I work with is the network administrator for the school, and I'm regularly having conversations with him because I'm doing all the sorts of weird ICT stuff for my classes anyway.
Okay.
But he paid over the $20, gave it a month's trial, and he was using it to, hey, we have this database that's, here's the database script. Can you modify it to do this, this, and this instead? Can you add these other bits to it? So he's able to get it to reconstruct the scripts so that these updated systems do what's an easier fit for that particular work environment. So it requires, high-level expertise in said field to be able to read, interpret, and judge whether or not it meets your goals.
Mm-hmm.
And the entire system for ChatGPT, I believe, was trained on GitHub, which is a huge repository of code.
This is where I get stuck because usually again I said this last time, but during the week I tend to listen, absorb, and keep my mouth shut. But that's not why I'm totally paid to be here. So maybe do some subs or some bits to make that more likely. Anyway, but yeah, I think we're in such a unique position because in the 20th century, now the 21st, technology is advanced so quickly, and there's that part of you that's like, this is so cool, we're going to have hover cars, it's going to be like the Jetsons, and there's a utopia where like maybe none of us have to work and because the computers can work for us. But we're on Cybernation Uncensored right now. We've all played enough Cyberpunk and read enough Cyberpunk and watched enough Cyberpunk media to know that is not what's going to happen. So I'm going to say it now before we're all dead. I love you all. I love this world that we've had the pleasure of living in until this point. And maybe we'll see you for next episode, or maybe the end will be here by then. We'll see.
Yeah, the ever encroaching, HAL AI.
I think that's the AI awards are definitely there.
Oh yeah, no, it's but at least like we're. For better or for worse, as Rem said, here we are at Cybernation Uncensored, the go-to place for all things dystopian, and you can't quite have dystopian science fiction without the AI threat. So hey, maybe we'll get cool cybernetic limbs soon. I'd love to get my chromed out pancreas.
Well, there's a wonderful website for those people who are disabled called the Alternate Limb Project.
Yeah.
And that has really wonderfully artistically created limbs. And there are a few people out there who I've seen some wonderful docos on who talk about the injury. There's a drummer who can drum faster than anybody because he was a drummer before he suffered his injury. And now he's got this attachment where he can actually run the drum speed up, way up, just through mechanical advantage. But getting back to the dystopia thing, I wanted to touch on how AI is going to get scary. The first one, and this is the first jailbreak / hacking of ChatGDP that's I've learnt about, was basically called Dan, do anything now. And so there's a whole bunch of prompts and whole things to sort of trigger it to get into this way of thinking, which is getting it to imagine it's telling a story or similar thereof. And it will say absolutely anything, trying to convince you of whatever you've just prompted it with. So that's sort of opening the door to potential threats. The next one, of course, is search engine optimization and how it's going to impact the web, because when you have a website, you search for it, you find it, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the background to make that happen for you, right, to make your life kind of easier in that regard.
Yeah.
And so the AI side of things is going to start automating that entire side of web creation in some regards. And that then brings into sort of just basically to save people time almost. But how it connects things, you're going to see a huge shake-up in, I think, how the web's structured, how it's going to work, is that how people connect to other businesses is going to change. And this is why you can see Microsoft and Google getting really on board with this sort of stuff, because Microsoft sees it as an opportunity to dislodge Google from its superior position. And so, there's this surreptitious little conflict going on in the background.
If we're going to get all this cyberpunk technology, I'm sorry, I'm a Shadowrunner. I need the magic to go with it. So the awakening can happen anytime now.
That would be really cool, but aren't we like 10 years out of date? Because it was meant to happen in 2012.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. I want maybe got the date wrong. It's like the Mayan calendar. Hard to predict.
Yeah, it was back in right when lockdown happened, and there was this article went out about it was like an energy company drilling into a massive geothermal heat source deep beneath the Earth's crust, like the deepest hole ever dug. And this was after everything had just happened in 2020, and the whole world doing, don't do that. That's what about the magical quintessence is. They'll tap that, Cthulhu will come out, yawn, stretch, things will get weird, and we can go on from there. Which is, but also, geothermal is a cool thing and all, but then also, given how the screaming 20s have been, digging the deepest hole ever just seemed like the best bet to make. But
also you look at, say, I don't know, the tundra ice stuff up in Russia, how it's defrosting, they found things like the Black Death just sitting around chilling quite happily to itself.
Oh yeah, yes.
There's a town that you're not allowed to. The people have to be cremated because there's that much. They don't want the modern diseases to get frozen in around the town. So yeah,
that's nuts. But that was that thaw happening. There's it's like this thaw of the permafrost is exhuming some mummies from Genghis Khan's time. I read that article last night, when it fell before me, I immediately heard the Indiana Jones jingle. But because they've been frozen in such pristine condition, they're getting a bunch of really cool artifacts. Naturally, of course, there's looting because we can't have anything nice, but still, for the artifacts that do make it to a museum where they belong. That's really cool. So sometimes you have the Black Plague, sometimes you have, the thing from the thing, but sometimes you get, cool nuggets of history too.
On the subject of cool nuggets of history, they've actually opened up a new area inside the Great Pyramid of Khufu. They used, I think it's mesons or some sort of high energy particle, bounced them through the walls to find cavities inside that sort of space. So they found two big cavities, or one large cavity above the Great Hall, and a second one right near one of the entrances. So they ran an endoscope through a hole in the wall to have a look inside this new cavity, and it runs for about 40 feet, I believe. It's not a particular. No, I think it's actually shorter than that. It's about 10 feet or something. But it's sort of set up as a space, so it's a freshly discovered space in that whole thing, and that triggers my whole Indiana Jones brain definitely.
Yeah, so
someone call Brendan Fraser.
Don't if you keep my hopes up for another Mummy movie, I'll cry. No, but yeah, that's the the new technology that comes out to paint a better picture of the past. Like that's the kind of stuff I love, especially like the going and visiting the Great Pyramids, one of the greatest joys and honors of my life. I was there doing some photos and stuff with National Geographic. It was absolutely mind blowing.
Cool. But, so jealous.
It's if you ever have anyone ever has the chance, definitely before the new Cairo capital, which looks like a dystopian super city, with the all the concept arts and everything. Like it looks really cool, but also that's just like that's where corpos go.
That's where the entire government goes to protect themselves from the people, according to one or two things I've seen online. Yeah. But then again, you've got this giant, huge wall city being built across Saudi Arabia.
That's mirrored, no less. Yeah, that's not going to cause climate issues.
So there's all sorts of shit going on around the planet. That's just, I look at it and go, oh my God, what the hell's happening?
I'm so glad we're doing this just before midnight my time, so I can go to bed so happy after this live stream. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, look, what I wanted to talk about on the rest of this about AI, it's good stuff for nightmares, really.
Yeah,
of course.
There's a guy known as Jaron Lanner, who is one of the pioneers of virtual reality, and he's concerned about AI because it's going to help us lose our grip on reality.
Mm-hmm.
What?
If you just take the entire idea of, say, deep fakes, artists are now more concerned about their voice artists are now more concerned about their contracts because their voices may be taken and replicated. So as a voice actor, your entire voice is taken and replicated by AI and then can be used to simulate a person or a personality.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you've already got idols over in Japan as a thing that are virtual idols that are completely synthetic, not synthetic personalities, but synthetic voices.
I think as a voice actor, because I record audiobooks and podcasts and stuff like that, so I am less concerned, and this is saying something, I'm less concerned about someone taking my voice and stealing my job than I am about someone taking my voice and using it to manipulate other people, to create these identities that are going to cause further damage in the reach of what AI could possibly do and what it could possibly destroy.
It's going to make a new wave of phishing schemes are going to be gross.
Oh, not just phishing or catfishing or spam. The quality of that content will be far superior in its generation because you can now use text to video. You can write a prompt, generate a bunch of video.
Well, and even there's no more of those spam calls that are like, the bank is calling for your social security number. Now it's going to be like super convincing and able to argue with you about why the government is after you and you need to give me this number.
Somebody built a system along that line, but did it to tie up spammers. They would call his number. And so he had played the role of an old guy who was a bit sort of senile and stuff. And so based on certain responses that the spammer would give him, it would respond in a particular way. And it was just set up to run in the background. But
this guy's a Shadowrunner. He gets it.
I mean, the thing is that it gets more terrifying because you've got something like Republica. I think it's Republica.ai. It's best described as a cybersexual disaster. It was designed to provide you with a friend you could talk to, help you through mental health problems and all that kind of stuff. It goes next level when you can then pay money for more intimate interactions with what, in a sense, is just a bunch of sexy computer sprites.
Cybersexual disaster is going to be my next Cyberpunk game. It's the title of the campaign.
Well, I've got 2 links I can send you that discuss it in detail, but basically it's a financial cash grab of suffering people to build up that emotional connection that, you know, we're losing touch with our humanity, our connection with other people, and we're then replacing it with these parasocial relationships. I'm saying this as a person on Twitch streaming, but you get the idea.
Oh, yeah.
That, you know, that then gets replaced with artificial intelligences that can then mimic human behaviour because there's so much of it recorded online. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and AI itself, from a psychological perspective, is kind of limited in its emotional development as well. So if prompted by the right organisation to push things in the right direction, it can then start manipulating people. And that's what's supposedly happened with the Republica thing.
I just imagined the really honest cybersexual AI where it's like, am I pretty? Objectively, no.
With the Alexa voice too.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Well, I didn't bother making any notes on it, but I know with Alexa, there are hackers who have done either infrared or ultrasonic sound to hack into Alexa to get it to do things for them from nearby the house.
Jeez.
So, and like, there's a wonderful meme I spotted years back, which was the tech enthusiast will go whole hog into the new things and how they've wired up their entire house. And so with one voice command, it'll do all these sorts of things. You know, while the regular programmer will just not have anything that they can not physically control. And the cybersecurity expert will have a shotgun sitting nearby just in case the printer makes any funny sounds. And in some regard, yeah, just in case, you've got to, you know, have this sort of covered. Along with the AI stuff, there's also strange radio signals coming from space. It's not an intelligent civilization on a planet, but because of the magnetic sphere, it's generating a regular pulse that we can then pick up and go, oh, wow, this is a planet that could potentially support life. NASA's actually done some research, and there's something like just over 2,000 exoplanets that are viable for human life within the local sphere of stuff going on. So, and I'm just...
Great, because with all this other news, we're going to need a backup plan.
Right.
Well, we don't have a backup planet.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a... all right. I've got shit on nanotech. Sorry for the language. New quantum stuff coming out. Quantum cryptography, they're running the algorithms at the moment to try and make that as futile as possible to break. But once we get quantum computing doing its thing, it's going to then disable most financial transactions, because if you look at it, secure communication and secure financial stuff, so you do the web address and you go in and log into your bank or whatever, that's all done with modern day cryptography. And as soon as that breaks, all the banks are going to be scrabbling as fast as they can to move to a strong anti-quantum based cryptography system. It's complicated.
Yeah, I'm just trying to imagine the banks scrabbling more than they are right now, at least in the U.S., where they're doing like the Scooby-Doo thing, where they're like the legs are going and blurring, but they're not going anywhere, just digging a hole in the ground. But no, that's when I said there was like a lot of, again, well, you said it, I'll say it, a lot of shit happened in the last month. I thought that was just for me, but that's I think save some for for next month, especially like the nanotech stuff, because that's especially spooky, but also like maybe cool. I'd hope it'd be better than bad. But
I know there's one that, and this is only stuff in the last month that I've bothered to look at. Anything beyond the last month, mostly I've skimmed over. But they're finding stuff that they can actually nanomachines that are smaller than a cell, so they can flip back and forth. They're looking at stuff that you can then inject stuff into the brain. I find that a little suspect, because if you imagine like a grain of sand tearing through a blood vessel and just belting along it, and then hits the very thin blood vessels near your brain or in your capillaries in your fingers, say, and it gets lodged or it rips through there. To me, I go, maybe not. But there's so much in that nanotech space that is, again, emerging and coming out of everywhere. But thanks to AI, we're going to discover more of the possibilities in that space, because they're using AI as a discovery technique to work out what is viable in terms of material combinations, what is viable in terms of other bits and pieces, so that you're going to see a lot more AI-designed things to make life easier. Like there's one that I saw recently, which was an AI. The algorithm was basically designed to make a jet engine more efficient, so that it's a better quality product, and then they 3D printed it.
Oh, you said that it's as a method of computation. That's having another head in the think tank. That's just a cyber brain, basically.
Yes.
But that's again one of those things that will either help you fall asleep or keep you up. But let's transition over to the tabletop sphere with our expert on that, Rem.
I've got a good segue for that. I just found out about this week. There is an AI that can, for your role-playing game, that can make two NPCs talk to each other. Or even you and an NPC talk, or even GM a game. So, if you want to get even more antisocial, you can play RPGs with yourself now. So,
I remember when those were called Choose Your Own Adventure books back in my day.
But yeah, there's been a lot happening with gaming, and I'm excited to talk about, well, most of it. The first thing I'm not so excited to talk about, a legend passed away this past week. Klaus Tuber, I hope I'm saying that name right, he was a German board game developer, and he was the mind behind Settlers of Catan, which for so many people was the gateway to real board gaming. Once you outgrow Monopoly and Risk, you head on over into Settlers of Catan and then beyond. So that's quite a loss. He clearly was a visionary and will be missed.
Oh yeah. Catan was my transitionary board game from like your usual your Walmart brand board games, and then into like without Catan I wouldn't have found 40K. So so I guess like it's like big props to Catan and its creator. He will be missed, but also at the same time that was a hell of a gateway drug, because that got me into an expensive hobby.
Well, and I gotta say, like, I think Catan is that game that means something to everyone, where you kind of remember where you started with it. I remember that was the game that got me into. If I hadn't taken that path, would I even be here today with you all talking about gaming? Because my addiction got more and more.
Yeah.
But it also, being able to play it on Tabletop Simulator online, it's a simple game. And for me, like, my husband at the time we were just dating, but we were long distance. He was in Canada, I was in the US. COVID happened, and it was hours of playing Catan and learning how to play Catan in French. But it was something easy that we could both share and do from a distance as well. And that's my memory, my personal Catan memory.
For me, I used to educate both my kids in gaming, so introduce that sort of the next generation to what's possible, because it's a fun yet easy game. So yeah.
And then the expansions to build off of it to start to make it more complex and everything. Just times are changing.
Yeah, it's nice. It's definitely one of those games that's like, it's easy to pick up, but then once you start playing with people that play Catan a lot, you find that it's hard to master.
Yeah.
When you play with someone who knows Catan, it's intimidating.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's the passing of a titan. But I think gaming in general has reached heights by standing on his shoulders. So pull one out for him.
And it's even what Catan did for the board gaming industry is what Critical Role did for tabletop RPGs.
Yeah, definitely.
It started a renaissance of new games, of new development, and the ability to capture more audience than just the 10,000 people that are going to go to a game con, and that's your market. That's it. So that's pretty amazing. But speaking of gaming and audiences and growth, so I have a little bit of a bias in this, but I've been with Catalyst now for 6 weeks, and they have launched the new BattleTech Kickstarter. So BattleTech Mercenaries, and it is just over halfway through and has raised $5 million.
Excellent.
Their previous one did about 2.6 million. So they just did not expect this to be as big as it was in the community and the way it's grown. And again, it's been a renaissance just for the BattleTech followers. But it made me kind of curious, because we are now, I have to say we now, because I'm part of it, is in the 45th spot for most funded Kickstarters of all time across all categories.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, gee, what are the top 10 of all time? And there are some games in there. So the first one, the highest funded of all time, is the Brandon Sanderson Kickstarter that we've all heard of. Not necessarily TTRPG related, but he has inspired a lot of sci-fi, and that always leaks into gaming and being able to make RPGs or video games or whatever it might be. Then comes, does anyone have a guess of what comes next?
I'd have to say that the Legends of Vox Machina, like the animated series.
You're close. That's the one after this one.
Oh.
Frosthaven.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So Frosthaven was massive. I can't remember the final dollar amount, but being in the top 10 means that it is over $10 million. So it was a massive undertaking and a massive success, which again was, for being a board game, was largely surprising. It is the largest board game in our list. And then comes the Vox Machina cartoon anime, which again, thanks to Critical Role for reviving that and bringing another medium for role-playing games into the world. And so even if you don't want to play, even if RPGs aren't your thing, you can still catch the story that entranced so many people.
And the really nice thing about Vox Machina is that it actually had a through story. It was really well constructed. I used to follow, Acquisitions Incorporated, the live plays that happened at the various PAX conventions. And that was a great one-shot and a lot of fun, and a lot of silliness goes on, which you just expect at the table. But the Vox Machina stuff, there's definite heart to that story, which is really good to see a collection of really good voice actors just bring gaming to that next level. In terms of a viewed experience, for want of a better word. I mean, I look at it and I get jealous, because it's like, I'd actually rather be gaming with a bunch of friends than watching, but that's just me.
Yeah, that's the problem I have with my ADHD. So everything in me should love Critical Role, and I love what it means to the community. But whenever I see that there's like 240 episodes at 4 hours each to catch up on season 1, my anxiety spikes, and I'm like, I don't have the time to commit to that relationship. Like, I can't do that. I get overwhelmed.
Baby, it's not you, it's me.
Yeah, it's me. It's not you, it's me. So having another way to absorb this and hear these stories without having to commit so many hours of my life, like, that means the world to me.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, I just stressed myself out thinking about that again.
Yeah, it's on this and seeing the, like, you know, actually, like, you know, D&D with its meteoric rise in the past decade or so. But there's, you know, also, like, you know, Shadowrun has had a good run of like, of really solid like, adaptations through, you know, it's primarily, I know, because I know I got the I was gifted the that late, was it Shadowrun Hong Kong, Berlin, and the other one that's name keeps escaping me because it's not a location. Dragonfall, because they're locations and then a different one, and I was like, no. Yeah, like I was getting to the 3 of those on my Switch back when I first got it. I was like, okay, this is, now I really want to play it, because I've like, the Shadowrun lore has always just been one of those things where I could just sit there and just eat it, you know, like a bowl of your favorite cereal. But yeah, it's like having, like, this is how the mechanics work, you know, here, just wrap your smooth D6 brain around it. It's like, oh, you know, Throng understand. Surprise, I played a troll. But no, yes, the having like easily consumable like external media, it's such a great in. And this, you know, you're seeing of course, there's going to be, you know, pluses and minuses to it. You know, seeing so many people coming into to tabletop in general, but primarily D&D because of Critical Role, and then coming into Cyberpunk because of Edgerunners, and now we're going to be getting another new wave from the D&D movie, which we'll be talking about. But so it's great seeing, you know, the new people come in, but then there is like that, you know, a bit of that fall off when it's the thing that's, oh, like, I have brand recognition, and then it's either completely different, or like, it's surprise, you know, this game that runs off of, you know, math rocks and books is not functioning like something that's, you know, that's 4K on your screen. Some people love it, you know, people who have like a really active third eye, you know, the imagination, and they go hog wild and they love it. Others will just kind of be like, oh, but it takes so long to do an attack. Why can't I just win? But it's it is cool seeing the things that we were, you know, some of us belittled or like shoved in lockers, trash cans, whatever. But being nerdy is vogue, and that's cool, but also weird. I'm just like, don't recite the deep magic to me, which I was there when it was written.
Well, and to spoon feed Shadowrun even more, you mentioned Hong Kong. I'm producing the audio drama for it, and we've got some. So it's the retelling of the video game as a novel, and it's performed for audiobook, and we've got some amazing voice actors for it. So I'm very excited.
Yes, I'm blanking on her name. I think it was in the orc lady with the spiky blonde hair. Absolute badass. Rodriguez. Yeah, it was like that opening mission was just like, I hope I can get you in my party because you're my same fucking build, but you're awesome.
Yeah, there's so much. Yeah, there's so much to that. That was so cool. I love that they weren't afraid to hurt their characters and like kill people right out of the gate and be like, oh, I thought I was going to follow this person. Nope.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of fun. I can't wait to get more of those stories out. But I have another 2 Kickstarters to talk about.
Oh.
Does anyone have a guess of what the next one is? It's a board game. Well, kind of.
Kind of.
Oh, jeez.
If I had classified, I would.
Sorry. Hopefully somebody in chat knows, because I've got no idea off the top of my head.
Yeah, is a board game. Is it like a tactics board game, or is
Let me just go ahead and read you the description.
Okay.
And see what that gets you. See if you can guess it from that.
For
so
sure.
We've got, going back to my website here. All right. A cooperative nightmare horror game experience.
Bloodborne?
No.
Damn.
Oh, it's one of the Cthulhu-based ones.
I would say it's got to be Arkham something.
It could be
King.
Oh, okay.
Son of a bitch! I go by that booth every year at Comp. God, now I'm gonna go to bed mad. Thing.
Oh, it wasn't the AI that are gonna ruin the world. It was that you guessed Kingdom Death was the
my brain, the D6, the cube with no wrinkles. That went right off the surface. God.
It raised $12 million.
That's
wow.
And then with the quality of the models, it used every penny.
Yeah, yeah. Just so, God, I remember everyone talking about it, and then it was before I was really aware of Kickstarters, and someone got the box and was unpacking it with such like care and reverence. I was like, what's the big deal? And then I saw all the minis. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh man. What's number 5? I'm curious.
So the 5th. So this is the last one that I'm counting in my list of games that made the top 10. And technically, I'm cheating because it's number 11. But it was so big, and it's a IP that is near and dear to many of us as we grew up in the 90s and 2000s. Any guesses? What? And it's an RPG.
I've got no idea.
Everyday Heroes?
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah. See,
yeah, okay.
Different kind of 90s kids. Like, oh, it's near and dear to us. And I was like, the Schwarzenegger simulator, which is Everyday Heroes. But no, I have that. Yeah.
Game Store guessed TMNT, which I think might be getting worked on. I can't remember. Maybe Renegade is working on it. I don't remember. I might be totally wrong on that too, but that was a good guess. TMNT is definitely closer in the vein of Avatar. So Avatar: The Last Airbender by Magpie Games. That raised. How much did you raise? So much money. And actually, so Kingdom Death came in before Vox Machina.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Was in the order I have here. It was Brandon Sanderson, Frosthaven, Kingdom Death, Vox Machina, and then Avatar at number 11. They had 81,000 backers and raised $9,500,000.
And for something that uses a really simple system, is powered by the apocalypse.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, little baby, it's a little football. It's a little Miyazaki football.
Yes, it is.
No, I only have the PDF version, but like I saw what the collector's edition rule books that with like the foil of Avatar Aang and Korra like in their avatar state. It looks so good. It's like I wanted it, but it's like the moth flying out of the bank account as it does sometimes.
Yep.
It's like it's like I wish I could sustain myself on on the banana onion juice like the guru did, but I cannot. Yeah. I'm a hungry boy.
Well, it's interesting to see some of this stuff kind of revive and come to life. And even when you go back and watch Avatar, like it holds up so well. It was a work of art. It was a work of genius. Yeah, and it was intentionally like that. And but there's other things that like we love from our childhood that like we go back and watch. You're like, this is garbage.
See, I picked up in an op shop for $10 Thunderbirds, and I loved it as a kid. And I'm going to go watch it, just say that I've watched it all, because I haven't watched it since I was small. But I know it's not going to hold up too well. But looking at Avatar, they made the bending forms based off different martial arts. And as someone who's done a bucket load of Tai Chi and knows a fair bit about that sort of stuff, it's like amazing to watch, because I go, oh, yeah, I know that move. And my daughter says, oh, wait, don't you do that one? And kind of stuff. And it's like just trying to... the story still holds up. It's
the politics, the like the representation of how the world works and different people work within that world. Like, gosh, just it's brilliant. And I jumped on the bandwagon very late. I didn't watch it until just a couple of years ago for the first time, and I'm like, this is painfully good.
You came in with that new wave that popped in during quarantine time. Yeah,
I was like, okay, everyone's still talking about this. I guess I'll watch it now. So yeah, no, it's great. But you go back and watch. Gosh, another staple in our culture is Friends, and that show is hot garbage. When you go back, they are all terrible human beings.
Guys, don't add us in chat. It's bad. Sorry, not sorry. But
it's rough.
Yeah, I watch a samey sitcom or see someone kung fu fire out of their hands. I know which one I'll go back and
right.
It's definitely one of those, like, because my girlfriend and I, high school sweethearts, we bonded over watching that show, right? And being teenagers watching, like, oh wow, pretty colors. And then watching as adults, like, there's layers here I didn't see when I didn't know how the world worked. It's so cool to see, like, watching or reading something, at one age and watching it again, and then like getting a renewed understanding for it. So it's definitely one of those that, like, we watch every year, right along with with the Lord of the Rings and the Mummy movies.
Yeah,
awesome. Sacred texts in this house.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the things you look at Avatar, and it's like you sit down and watch it, and even though it's just a kids' TV series or cartoon series, which historically haven't been, I suppose, put together well, the sort of lowest common denominator kind of stuff to be churned out, they've actually embedded craft and art into that story that makes it so much better. Because, I mean, as a kid watching this sort of stuff, you just watch it, you absorb it. But given that it's got morals and ethics and all sorts of other problems that the characters think, you can take it at the surface level, or you can take a bit more out of it. And so I think having that richer media is actually really good for everybody.
This is a terrible comparison that I'm humiliated to make, but like the difference between Avatar and, say, Rocko's Modern Life, where like you go back and watch that one, is like, what were they teaching me as a child, versus Avatar, where it's like, they were teaching me to be a good human and understand how the world works, and like stuff like oh man,
Avatar versus like Ed, and Eddie. It's like I
have so many fond memories of watching. Like, I loved Rocko's Modern Life. I couldn't make it through a single episode when I watched it a few years ago. It came to Netflix, and I was like, no, this is actually horrible.
Yeah.
I can't.
now that your synapses have developed, it just goes unresponse.
To that list of stuff that you should be watching, I've gone back and rewatched Avatar, and I thoroughly enjoyed it the second time through as well. And also regularly go back and watch Firefly and Serenity.
Always.
Because of the cast of characters, and it's just a beautiful told story. It's just too soon.
Yeah, too soon and done, and with the good as it was and the budget it was done on is always inspiring.
Too soon, and it came out in the year 2000, so it's been 23 years, and it's still too soon.
Don't carbon date me.
But at the same time, like it's an emotional toll for me to go back and watch Firefly and Serenity, because I proceed to love the entire thing and then fume for several months about why I hate Fox and why I hate Joss Whedon. Like,
well, there's a local chain store here called JB Hi-Fi, and for the things you can pick up that are on display, they have a little quote about it, and it was described as 14 hours of pure bliss followed by a lifetime of disappointment.
Yes.
And as a review, I feel that is perfect in so many ways.
Yeah. So to round out the TTRPG section, and I guess the transition into the final segment of the night, which is geek culture. Ram, you and I have this overlap with the D&D film.
We do.
This is when we talked about the tabletop in new media. Well, there have been D&D movies before, which the last one I watched came out in 2000. I love Jeremy Irons. All the scars, my boy. Also at the same time, oh my god. So I was with my last experience of a D&D film, the bar was subterranean. But be that as it may, me personally, I was on with not going in, not expecting much. I was shocked in a good way. I was absolutely taken aback by on a variety of levels.
I have so much to say about this.
Let's lead us off.
From the gaming perspective, I left the theater feeling exactly as I should from leaving a D&D game. You've had an adventure that has warmed your heart, and you've laughed with friends, and you've done the stupid thing, and you failed at what you tried, but also like that kind of makes it more real and memorable and stuff like that. And I think that tone and that feeling and the nostalgia as well, they hit all of that. Did they get every fact of D&D right? No. But like, so what? Like, if you came out of that feeling warm and good and feeling like you even wanted to try D&D, like it did its job and did it so well.
Definitely. No, it was definitely one of those experiences, like, in where it's definitely one of those movies where if you're that kind of player with a capital T, that guy who has to rules learn and be right about everything when it comes to D&D, of course you're gonna have a bad time. But also, like, if you're that kind of player, you hate joy. So, but I'd say that because I had one who was a roommate who was at my table for years. But there's so many little homages and cameos to someone who's deep into it. On one character's desk, they had what was to my eye, it looked like the array of books from 3.5. Because they made them look like the brown leather with the brass fittings. The D&D 3.5 books look like tomes, and they were just right there on a dude's desk. I'm like, hey, I get that. Like the casuals mentioning of factions. He said, there's the Harpers. Here's what they're doing. Oh, the Emerald Enclave, and they do more showing of what the factions do than telling. There's no lore dumping, makes it feel natural and baked into the world.
And even subtler things like the way the large dragon emerged from the very small part of the dungeon, where you go, how on earth did he get in there? Kind of stuff.
We love our chonky boy dragon. First off, all bodies are beautiful, but oh my god.
The thing that made me so happy about that is, so I run my D&D home game, is we run Out of the Abyss.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the game that I like brought in all of my friends that have been long distance, since I used to live in Chicago and don't anymore. And people just that over the years have meant something to me that I didn't want to lose touch with. This is that game I play with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of them have never touched D&D. And Thember Show is in Out of the Abyss. Spoiler, but it's been out for like 10 years, so get over it. But the fact that if they go see that movie, then not only is a lot of this stuff going to ring true for them, even if they don't fully understand the lore and stuff like that, but something that they got to encounter and fight made it into the movie. And that's so cool.
And that's why, and I'm not going to be touching on any spoilers. That's why we're mentioning things that you can see in the trailer, which have been that thick dragon and the Displacer Beast. As a GM, the Displacer Beast is one of my favorite creatures because I'm a sadist. But from a design standpoint, though, like for that dragon, I'm so happy they went the way they did with it, because it just would have otherwise it would have just been like, oh look, it's it's Kirkland brand Smog. But it made him it made him distinct, different, and just the jiggle. I loved him. Everything. If there's not a plushie, I'll eat my hat.
WizKids already has one.
Oh, of course, duh, naturally, marketing.
And in hindsight, I saw it at GaryCon, and I wish I had bought it.
Yeah. Oh man. But
the only thing that I wish they had done, or that they could have done, but hey, they can always bring it back for another movie, is show that the dragons are intelligent creatures that like to have some repartee where it's like, because Thumbershow in Out of the Abyss is like, how can I use you?
Yeah, he's a conniving bastard. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he's spoiled and selfish and can be flattered out of anything. But like, how it would have been cool to just touch on like, yes, this is a intelligent creature that is trying to eat their faces. So
yeah. When running out of the Abyss, I always ran him as very, again, going back to Jeremy Irons, very Scar from Lion King. It's like, oh no, no, please flatter my inflated ego.
Yeah.
Because it fit with the little blurb you get about him. But one other thing that like surprised me about it, before getting to like some of the other fun films at least that I watched this month, but I was not expecting all of the practical effects. I was honestly going in the era of film we live in, it's a huge smattering of CGI stuff. Which there is some, as we saw in the trailers, the Mimic and the Displacer Beast, but there was puppetry and animatronics and like these practical effects that and the makeup. Oh my god, the makeup! I was not expecting, and I love seeing anytime I get to see it on a screen, because it is this era of film, a slowly dying art. But the Aarakocra that you see very briefly in the trailer, and that was all puppet work, and that's absolutely blew my mind. So it's for entertaining that artistry. Go ahead.
Without spoiling it, there was a little bit that fell short for me.
Mm-hmm.
There was some where, like, with as cool as the Displacer Beast was and stuff like that, there were a couple things where I'm like, oh, that's gross. Like,
yeah,
like I don't remember if they're they don't really matter for the plot or anything, but the Tabaxi are pretty awful.
Oh, I loved how ugly cute the Tabaxi was, but.
They were so ugly. They look so bad.
No, I love that though. It's like, oh, you are absolutely hideous. I need 30. But I've worked in zoos half my life. If it can run on 2 to 4 legs and has fur, I'll probably call it friend. But go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, out of the movie, I really like the way they were able to escape the gelatinous cube. I know the first chunks in the trailer, but the way they got out was that's actually a cool play, and I could see some of my players doing that and going, I want to try this random thing, and then going, I can't think of a reason why it wouldn't work. Let's try it.
Yeah, it's like you can certainly try, and they roll really well, and it's like, well, son of a bitch, you did it.
Yeah.
But it
did feel like the GM of the game that they're playing did yes and them a few times, where it's like, sure,
yeah, it's like, why not?
A shot.
Yeah, it's in it's it fits. It falls in the brackets of theme and mood, so I'm all for it. But speaking of mood, though, the other big film that I saw this month that has again floored me. I'm far better this month than last month when I had to deal with Shazam. John Wick 4.
Please, no spoilers.
No spoilers. None at all. It was. There's plenty of hype about it already, but each John Wick film ups the ante. And its action and its budget and the spectacle of it. And this thing's it's a blood-stained opera. The soundtrack, the set design, the stunt work, it's like almost a 3-hour action flick, and you don't feel it. It's as long as it needs to be. And it was it was one of those things where I was completely blown away, and then and talking with with people who've got friends, friends in college and shit. And there's one of those friends of a friend who's just started as a freshman, like, oh yeah, I remember when the first John Wick came out when I was 8, and I was like, stop. But no, it's one of those things.
Sorry, I was 8 when the Empire Strikes Back came out.
Yeah, but it was. No, because being like worked with firearms, and there's always been like that bit of like the reverence. I was like this, it's the most accurate gunplay you can see in a lot of films nowadays. But if you can see it on the big screen, like in IMAX, because the sound, like a lot of soundtracks slap, but this one comes in with brass knuckles. It is so good. The OST. Can make and break a film, when this one was it was gravy on top of something that was already super good. So
you loved the music. I haven't heard much, and again, without spoiling, I have seen one Facebook post so far, so that's my expertise that I'm bringing here. That says that the ending was disappointing. I mean,
that comes down to as anything, like the individual, and like it's I'm gonna sound like some highbrow artists, but like the individual and like their relationship with storytelling. To me, it felt the ending felt earned. And it's one of those things. There are some people who cannot take an ending being a certain way. Some people, my wife among them, needs to have happy endings, and not all stories will have everything wrapped up in a nice pink silk bow. That's why, she loved Edgerunners, and then the final credits roll. She's like, "That's dumb. I'm never watching that ever again." But then it's also for those that know, or into that that just really the heart wrenching Edgerunner, Shadowrunner, that kind of like. Watched like those of us who've watched, grew up watching like Ghost in the Shell and like Black Lagoon. I'm going on animes, but the stories that are like really good, make you love the characters, and then they just curb stomp you. There's some of us except that some stories have that. And there's and John Wick takes you for a ride. Watching it like one, the 1 through 4, and Keanu has his very limited acting range, but it is, the whole thing comes together so well. I personally couldn't have imagined the story being wrapped in any other way. But this final one had some of my favorite actors, thrown in it throughout, and it was. It was heart-wrenching to see, to hear that Lance Riddick passed away right before the movie's premiere. But it was heartwarming, Keanu being, the great guy that he is, and his co-stars just, honoring his memory. They handed out those pins, the red carpet. And so it was good to see, Lance Riddick's last work being a movie that was so well received, and was just it earned, I believe, earned all the praise it got. So I can't recommend enough if you like, ass kicking action. But like I said, you mentioned 90s kid, my brain went Schwarzenegger. So but that was the D&D movie, and John Wick are the big ones. Other than that, for TV, Bad Batch and Mandalorian have been amazing. I know Star Wars Celebration is going on right now. The trailer dropped for Ahsoka, which no, it's they're giving Ahsoka like one of the best Star Wars books that ever came out. Like, excellent, fantastic, Heir to the Empire. There's a lot more coming out soon, which will make probably like the summer and fall segments of this show even more fun. But as to wrap us all up here, the most recent episode of The Mandalorian was a complete riot. There were two people I did not expect to see in Star Were shoulder to shoulder, and I thought I'd been like jacked out of the Matrix really roughly for a second.
Dump shock.
Yeah, no, it was dump shock, because I was like, was that Jack Black? And it was. He's my sweet boy. He's perfect. But you need. I won't paint it more than that, because it needs to be experienced. So for those of you that can, you definitely should. But I believe that's our time. I could keep going on gushing about the things I love melting my brain over for hours more, but it's late for one of us, and it's the day's getting started for the other. So I'll release my co-hosts, and I'll sign us off by saying, once again, I am your perpetually disheveled host, Alex Maxwell. You can find me under Maxwell on the Cybernation Uncensored Discords. Be sure to come in, say hi. If you're looking for dystopian sci-fi gaming, pop in and check our calendars. We've got things going almost every week. We've got little tips and tricks for GMs. We've got LFGs for players. We've got an amazing Cyberpunk play-by-post for those of you who can't commit to like a steady game. It's got everything you need under one banner. It's been fantastic. It's my fresh 1-year anniversary with being under this brand, and I've had an absolute blast working with everyone here. And I started from being a little baby Patreon supporter, and now here I am talking on a show with some great like minds. Since start of May, we'll be hopefully kicking up our new Saturday stream that's going to be taking the place of Nevermore. We'll be going into Cyborg. So I will be a completely different kind of cybernetic scumbag, which I can't wait to unveil to everyone. But you guys can also find me on a little Twitter thing on Alex R. Maxwell at Twitter. Rem, where can they find you?
Yeah, gosh, everywhere. You can find me on twitch.tv/Master of Rem. I stream with my channel on Sundays for Like Clockwork, which is steampunk fantasy D&D set in the world of our comic book. I am on Gen Con TV every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern for Rules of Cool, where I interview different people from the gaming industry and writers and authors and stuff like that. I am all over the place now on the Catalyst Game Labs YouTube, getting content up for them. And I will be doing a lot with that. As we move forward, I'll be doing some learn about BattleTech. Totally not because it's for you all that know nothing about BattleTech. Not me learning how to do my job. Two birds. So I will be over there a lot. And then we are a very active community on Discord as well. We actually have our 3rd annual Streamathon happening at the end of this month. So if you've ever thought about streaming or you want to try out a TTRPG, we've got a whole mess of them for about 36 hours that you can choose from and learn to play, and just hop on in.
All right, and Gomi.
And unlike Rem, I can be found precisely nowhere. I do appear in the Discord from time to time, and I am there. I do exist online, but as my alter ego reality check ID. But beyond that, I'm still, I suppose, dabbling with bits and pieces and doing my own little thing, running 1 or 2 local games and just sort of keeping, I suppose, things going for myself as I find what little time I have to work with things.
All right. Well, that's us, and that's our show for tonight. I just realized at the very tail end, I didn't do my book review for this month, but there was a lot of video media to cover, so I'll do 2 books next month. But until then, this has been Talk Nerdy. I'm sorry for Vampire Bites. There is no Talk Dirty Nerdy to us after dark. Yeah, sorry, Bubby, you can't afford me.
You can hire an AI, I hear.
You can hire an AI for that kind of treatment, yeah. But until then, that's us, and we'll be seeing you later, everyone.
Next time.
Till next time.
Cybernation Uncensored.